Hi there, welcome to the Presgrove case. One of the most important themes within the investigation was mobile phones of party goers factory resetted, as in key data, information evidence, photos, videos, snaps, etc., all wiped from the phones in order to protect one another or each other, because the dark truth may reveal what happened to Noah and that they're responsible. But amidst all those conversations, discussions online, and the way people were wording it as a fact, like they had all the answers and they knew for certain, but with it being from the general public, you couldn't believe in it yourself, or you might have been skeptical too. Where is the source? Where's the origins? And supposedly it has been shown, but maybe not enough. So join me today as with credit to Reddit and previous screenshots as well, where it reveals more of a story as to where it came from, and it is supposedly a fact, and it does reveal to some extent the horse's mouth of where it came from, which had that big influencing effect on the general public, on Justin Roy, and etc., for spreading the so-called awareness. The problem is, though, there's not been enough awareness, as in where it originated from and who by. So that's what I want to do today, just to clear the air to some extent and to understand how it can impact the case and what it can lead to, and maybe I can incorporate it with the map analysis. So be sure to stick around through this video to get the full understanding. And welcome if you are currently here during the live premiere. You can share your live reactions in the chat box on the right side of the screen. And at any point, whether you agree or disagree, you can let me know your own thoughts to this, as in phones being factory resetted and how true you to believe it to be. As well as if you've got any questions or answers in response, leave it all down below in the comment section. Just below, it will help with spreading awareness and the reach, and it can generate new ideas. If you want to catch up on my recent coverage, a very important breaking news update last night regarding Caleb Newton and jail time, find that top right corner where the ISIL symbol is up there, along with the full playlist of the Presgrove case. And if you want to support the channel, there is a PayPal link down below in the pinned comment section. With that being said, the order of how we'll do things today, going to head into the source and the origins of who spoke about it somewhat first, publicly, and then elaborate. Without further ado, let's begin. This post can be found on the original Presgrove Reddit page by Winter, 1 day ago, caption, comment by Noah's and Robyn Smith, from 1 year ago about the phones being wiped. Professional feed on Reddit known as Noah's Aunt confirmed, and is of Robyn Smith, who we're all familiar with by now. Robyn had said 1 year ago, "We know that the phones were wiped." I'm not sure where the new phones rumour, spelt incorrectly, came up, unless it was because OHP had sent 2 phones off and it took months for them to be returned back, as into the rightful owners, I'm guessing. So, me personally, I've not heard about a rumour or a claim of additional phones on top of previous ones. I've just heard in general that partygoers wiped their phones, including the likes of Carter Combs. I kept hearing it over and over again, and I was asking, well, who said that? And it wasn't always made clear. So this video here kind of gives the backstory behind who said it, and like in the earlier days of who said it, and how it can influence the general public in relaying it, but maybe some of the wording changes with time. To say that we know, I guess as in the family. To say phones means more than one. For them to be wiped means there's got to be some evidence to say that they have been wiped and they're not just brand new mobile phones, right? So, it's not just that screenshot, because another one was mentioned by Noah's Aunt, which was in the past as well, maybe longer now. I can't remember when this screenshot was taken, but it's on the Presgrove Reddit page, a part of a conversation. I think the post was, what do you guys think of this Facebook comment, whatever that was? I'll zoom in. We'll just read what's present here. Redditor, has this deletion been confirmed or simply speculation? Repetitive speculation turned misinformation. And Robyn Smith said, I don't know. I think the OHP investigator telling us that these kids had deleted everything from their phones isn't really speculation. They told us that Carter Combs had wiped her phone so much that she didn't even have her boyfriend's, Jack Newton's, phone number saved. Now, there have been counterpoints and counter-arguments by others out there, and maybe even BBC, that have tried setting the record straight behind Carter Combs. Even if that can be justified, what does it mean, though, for the other party goers? Because as we've seen and how it's worded by Robyn Smith, it's more than one person's phone. So more people's phones involved in being wiped. Is it because they're all responsible, or they've been ordered by another partygoer to get rid of them? For what reason? All because of Noah? Because of social hosting? To what extent? Person here, Mikey or Mickey. Okay, now this is something I'd been asking and never could get an answer to. So police did tell you Carter Combs wiped her phone. I know your family, so I take this as facts. Thank you very much. Know their family. Very interesting. So does it match up the consistency in what's mentioned here compared to what was mentioned by Robyn at a different point in time? Because, of course, we've done the comparisons with, like, Caden Pressey, what he says at one point, then what he says later. So I'll just go back and forth with it just to double check. We know the phones were wiped. It was because OHP had sent 2 phones off, if that's to do with the rumour or the suggestion. Okay, so just simply put as, we know phones were wiped. How do you know the phones were wiped, though? And Robyn says here, well, the OHP investigator was telling us that these kids had deleted everything from their phones. So it's not really speculation that. We're being told by the higher-ups, told by authority, told by police that should have experience in this. They should know what they're talking about. As for Robyn Smith and the victim's family, they could be in the dark about it, and they just treat it as a fact, even if they've not seen it for themselves, because they have their trust in the police. I mean, you've got to take in mind that the police in the early stages were the ones to, like OHP, rule it out as hit and run, but still highlight the possibilities of a vehicular-based death, vehicular-based injuries being involved in some way, but just not a hit and run. And if from both sides people can agree to some extent on that, then you think that the police would, people in the general public would agree to this too. Once again, it's to an extent, because with what Robyn says here, you could believe in it more. You could trust this more because there shouldn't be a reason for the victim's family to lie. And no, that isn't for Lisa, the kettle pot individual, lights on but no electricity home, which doesn't make any sense, but neither does Lisa's comments most of the time. It's not for Lisa to say, oh, you're attacking Noah's family. No. The reality is, when it comes to what the family say, the victim's family, compared to what a member of the general public may say, even if they were both saying the same thing, but you listened to them individually and separately, who are you going to listen to more? Who are you going to trust more? Some member of the general public, random stranger to the case, not involved in the case, not directly connected to police or people within the case, or are you going to listen to the victim's family that, knows more and should have more access to stuff because they're caught up within the case and they're deserving of answers more so and quicker compared to the general public where it doesn't concern them as much. So you would have a level of trust within the victim's family if they're in contact with the police, and if you look up to the police and hope in what they say is true, but then it should be all okay. And from one side more so than the other that like to say that the police are corrupt and paid off and it's all dodgy in the background, well, for the same said individuals or a certain section to mention about a possible level of foul play, the supposed sense that phones were factory resetted by multiple partygoers, well then obviously those police people and investigators can't be as corrupt as you say that they are if they say that about them and then you believe in it. So it's about setting the boundaries and the understanding of what's going on here. You can let me know your reactions down below in the comment section. No exact names given besides Carter Combs, which is interesting. What other kids, what other named individuals would have deleted everything from their phones? Because in terms of the footage, what we've seen, is it really true that everything's been deleted? I just want to give my thoughts right now on the spot and with what I remember that's been previously said. Not seeing any hard evidence of it as a counterpoint, but the original points made by Robyn Smith, telling us, the general public, from what she's been told from by the police, kind of like feeding it through a food chain of information when learning about the case. You could still say it's hearsay. Would it be hearsay in the eyes of Robyn Smith? Well, they may treat it as a fact because they've got a level of trust and belief in the police. But if you're the victim's family and you're told by police this is the situation, well, you just got to listen to the words and believe in it, and then that's good enough. Are you not able to see it with your own eyes? Well, in fairness, it might become a little bit clearer. You never know with that subpoena, which has already gone through, and who knows what the family are dealing with now if it's been handed over by OHP, all the investigative abilities and material collected from audios, photos and videos and phone data, phone records and all of that. Maybe even mentions and highlights of police taking notes, as in, yes, this phone that was taken in and processed shows why it's been factory resetted, or it seems evident of it being factory resetted. I mean, is it possible to tell, possible to know if it's been factory resetted or not? Or could it be misidentified that it's actually a brand new phone, but you associate that phone with what they've previously had before? Same model, same type, so you think it's the same phone, right? We'll get to that in a second. So it's just mainly words, and maybe that's what the family dealt with at the time. That's back then, 1 year ago. Things could have changed since, but one thing that hasn't changed is the broken record and nature of certain individuals in the case. And we don't need to name anyone in particular because I'll only throw the toys out the pram, but you will probably have an idea yourself. The reality is, beside this video being done right now, and with credit to Reddit as well, is that how many people actually know where it came from in the first place? How many people actually know that it was Robyn Smith that was one of the first ones or so, a victim's family member, to reveal it public as like a fact that we know this is the situation, that party goers are responsible for factory resetting their phones? Now, my counterpoint could be, is that really true? And depending on the party kids and who exactly, wouldn't it mean there is no footage left, there's no photos or videos, but what have we got since, and what have I revealed since? Never seen before party footage and photos from other people's phones besides Caden Pressey's. That's got to speak volume, right? And if not that, maybe it will at least tick off the list, as in maybe certain party goers where the footage was retrieved from, provided it was still on the phone when it was being processed and taken in, as in they didn't delete anything, they didn't touch anything, so it's all A-OK there. Because there's a difference between deleting everything and then just deleting a few things. Factory resetting will just wipe it all completely. But the social media aspect, there are exceptions there, which we will need to go into. But just in terms of the broken record and nature of people that constantly kept going on and on and on. By now I can understand why people would be stating it as a fact or being somewhat confident within it and going round and round in circles, bringing it up and highlighting the importance of it. Because of course, if phones have been factory resetted, that's a major, major important factor, because why would people be factory resetting, deleting anything whatsoever? Everything, likely if it's factory reset. If you're just deleting certain photos or videos, it comes across as selective, and there might be more of a direct reason or motive as to what you're trying to hide. When you're just deleting everything, sounds more a level of desperation in a way. That's how you could interpret it. But just when it came to asking the question, right, you're stating it as a fact, how do you know? How do you know that that's true, that phones were factory reset? Where did you hear it from? Who told you? Who said it? Where is it? Is there a link? Is there a source? Is there a reference? And majority of the time, no one bothered. People just kept saying, it's important anyway, that phones were reset, partygoers responsible, deleting, covering up what really happened with near Presgrove. and so on, covering their backs, their tracks, and one another, right? But whilst you're saying it as a member of the general public, you're not within the case. So how do you know that it's true? Where did you really hear it from? And all people had to say was, well, one of Noah's family members, Robyn Smith, said that she was told by police or an investigator within the authorities, as in what really happened. And it's that, as in kids responsible for hiding, deleting possible evidence. If the general public simply answered questions like mine, it would be a lot easier and better off. But no one, and most people, well, just most, seem to be incapable of giving a source. Why? Just say where you got it from, where you heard it from. And some people's responses will be, well, it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. What's important is that this really happened. Oh, you will never get anywhere with those type of humans. Round and round in circles, revolving door, lost cause. But, like what we've seen today up to now, there is a source. There are origins behind it. Okay, so to set the ball rolling, it's investigators, police that knew about it, found out about it in some way that the phones were factory reset, then passing the news on to some of Noah's family members, the victim's family, because they deserved to know. And then from there, passed on to the general public. So in some way, it's understandable why the general public would go along with it and believe in it, because why would the family lie about it, the victim's family? There shouldn't be a reason to, so you would believe in them. More so than if it was just a random member of the general public stating it as a fact, right? It's just unfortunate that for most part of it, we've not seen it from the horse's mouth, or it's just not been shown enough. The original statement made, or one of the original statements. But now, here we are once again with the repost, which goes a long way. Some older stuff that's been mentioned gets forgotten about with time, drowned out by lots of noise and other unnecessary posts. It's always important to reflect back on, to maintain that stability, to retain focus, to know what's the truth and what isn't. But yes, it's still possible to be skeptical and say, but it's just all words. It's just what Robyn Smith says. So technically it's hearsay. Well, that can apply to Caden Pressey. It can apply to anyone that opens their mouth in the case. And if they don't back it up with hard evidence, a screenshot, documents, papers, videos, well then you can say it's just all hearsay. But with respect and my own experience, there's been times in previous cases where the victim's family has spoken out based on what they were told by police, stating it as a fact. From what we've been told, this is what happened to Dylan Rouse. This is who could be responsible. This is roughly when it happened, and so on. General public didn't always believe in it. There was a witch hunt against the mother. There was a witch hunt against the victim's family at times, and attacked over and over again. I did my analysis in balanced ways, and as I said in the background, it was appreciated. But I did believe in it along the way. I didn't get my hopes up when it was hyped up with all the positives, but when something was stated as a fact, but it could be considered as hearsay, based on what victims' family members are telling us, but it was enough to convince me. Is that a bad thing? Some people could say so. But it just so happened in that case, at times, when the family did speak out and tell us the reality from what the police told them, it turned out to be a fact. At the time, hearsay, and then later proven as a fact through court documents, papers, videos, photos, the lot. So it is possible for hearsay to be a fact, eventually turning into one because it's backed up by hard evidence. But in the early stages when it's just, said as in words and not officially, you can still believe in it, you can still trust in it. But of course, with each case, it can be different. And with each different person, there can be trust issues along the way. The way the Presgrove case has gone, it's understandable why members and people in the community, the general public, could be cautious of one another and not trust one another because of trust issues and getting stabbed in the back. But if you trust and believe in Noah's family, you'd hope to think that what they say, based on what they were told by higher-ups, would be the truth. and that appears to be the case, it might eventually turn into a public fact if it can be at some point down the line reinforced with hard evidence publicly, court documents, papers, videos and photos and anything else like that. But, as said, the counterpoint in defence of one individual, not that I'm defending them, I'm just relaying what others have said, like BBC, I believe, Brooke Barnes-Carter. When it came down to Carter Combs specifically, and even Robyn Smith made the reference to it, Carter Combs' phone was also wiped as well completely, because the boyfriend's phone number, Jack Newton's, wasn't even listed on her phone at the time. And that's a bit suspicious, is it not? I mean, if you've got your normal regular phone and you're taking it to a party, and then afterwards, at least when you look at it, or when other people do, it's completely empty and blank, you could think, well, why did it need to be factory resetted then? If it's the same phone, if it's what you were previously using and earlier using, why is it now wiped? Why not just transfer some of the stuff over onto a laptop, a hard drive? If you've got too much storage or something, you have to completely wipe it, unless there is a malfunction, a glitch on the device, and sometimes that can happen. But people nowadays, you'd think, have it backed up. Now, a lot of humans like to say, well, it's factory reset and this was lost and that was gone from the phone, there's always the cloud above which can store stuff. That's if people decide to have it on. For example, I don't, because I detest clouds. I like physical clouds in the sky, but I do not like iCloud. I do not like OneDrive. I don't really like Google Drive. I detest it all because it's excess storage, clogs up elsewhere, half in there, half in the cloud, half on the computer, causes all kinds of malfunctions and issues. You've got to try and transfer it all over. That's why as soon as you get a new device, turn off iCloud immediately. It protects you. It's safer down the line, so you don't forget of things, so it doesn't get hacked, iCloud getting hacked, photos being revealed, and all of that. You know the way it goes. That if you got it on your own physical device, if you want it backed up, you can copy and paste it onto another computer or a hard drive, and then you got in two areas then. How many of the partygoers would have iCloud turned on, or whatever device that they're using besides Apple? How many would have it turned on? Storage and backup, cloud system. Maybe a lot of them. There's a possibility, not a fact, but it's a possibility. So if things were wiped or removed, it could still be traced and retrieved from elsewhere possibly. Now, very basic response on Google, which I'll show you as in an answer in regard to can forensics retrieve information and data from a factory reset phone, yes or no? I'll provide a bit more clarity on that shortly. But with Carter Combs and what some people defending her said, the reason why her phone appeared factory reset is because her original phone, a week before or so, was damaged because she was caught up in a car crash and the phone was broken beyond repair. So she had to get a brand new phone. And then when at the party, she had a new phone with her. Now, because of living at the party house, maybe there wasn't a great need for communication, depending how much was on the phone and how much wasn't. If the phone came across as factory reset, that everything was empty and blank, as if brand new for the very first time when turning a phone on, there could be a misunderstanding amongst some people, maybe with police at some point, but you'd think that the police should know better, right, if they've got the correct resources and technology. What I'm getting at is, in some way, to determine it, and I'm just giving you a scenario, if Carter had, I don't know what device was around at the time, let me just use a random example. If Carter had an iPhone 14, base version, iPhone 14, involved in a car crash, phone completely damaged. She bought a new phone, and it was an iPhone 14 in the same colour as well. But it's understandable that people could assume that it's been factory resetted, because if people don't know that she's got a brand new phone, people will think it's the same old one, because it's the same model, or more so the same device, or no, not the same device, the same model, but maybe not the exact model number, right? But the same model as in an iPhone 14 with the same colour tone, the same back of the phone colour, maybe with the same phone case. The more similarities, the more people will think it's not a brand new phone, it's the same exact one, but in actual fact, it is a brand new phone, it's just a replacement of what she previously had. The main difference though, besides the similarities, is original phone had lots of data, photos, videos, contacts, phone numbers. The new replacement phone does not. So you could think that drastic change from it being full to empty, thinking it's the same phone, meaning it must be factory reset then. If that's how the police saw it, okay, but technically they should know better or know the real deal there. If though Carter had an iPhone 14, had a car crash, phone damaged, then got an iPhone 15 or got a Samsung Galaxy S22, S23, there's a big difference there, isn't there? Is there a higher reason or area to support factory reset or not? Probably less likely to support factory resetting because you haven't really got anything to compare it to. There's more of a contrast, and it would support getting a new phone, as in original phone damaged, bought a new phone but a completely different branded one in a short space of time, then attending present at the party because they lived there with their brand new phone, not having enough time to enter in contact numbers, details, and adding to it. But you would think that, wouldn't Carter Combs have taken at least one selfie, one photo, recorded at least one video? The way people are nowadays, hands glued to devices and phones. Even if you did buy a brand new phone because of a car crash the week before or two, even if you didn't have enough time to enter in people's contact numbers or you just couldn't be bothered going through it all, and you had to do it manually, you couldn't do it through taking out the SIM card, putting it into the new phone, or doing that thing where it picks up by Wi-Fi or Bluetooth where you can just automatically switch data from one phone, copy or cut it onto the new phone, and then it's done instant or fairly quick. The original phone was damaged beyond belief, so you couldn't transfer it all over, so you had to do it manually. I could understand why the person might feel, oh, I can't be bothered doing it all right now. I've got a party, I want to enjoy that instead. But you can still use the camera on the phone. Factory reset or not, brand new phone specifically, you can take some photos, you can record some videos. And not everybody is into that, not everybody does it, but did Carter Combs ever use her phone, new phone, old phone, at the party? But then you could say Noah Presgrove as another example. Instead of just focusing in on Carter Combs, how many of the party goers at the party had a phone with them, on them at the party? You could assume and say everyone did, but you never know. I would say likely everyone had their phones with them at the party. But who were heavy users on the phones? At least from the party footage what we've seen, most of them aren't on their phones, they're actually chatting with one another face to face, making actual conversations. Maybe every now and then looking at the phone, or obviously recording a moment in the moment with the people that are actually physically there. From Caden Pressey's point of view, as we've seen footage, to some of the other people, whoever was holding the phone behind it. So recording the moment, recording it as a memory, and so on. Did Carter Combs ever use her phone to record any party footage, to take any photos? Unknown of. Even if the phone that she originally had and then bought a new one, which was the same model type, but with it being brand new, the data, the phone numbers not being existent or present because not having enough time to enter it all in, could come across as factory reset. But surely the phone would have been used to some capacity, as in at least taking photos or recording videos in the moment, unless they thought, you know what, I've got a brand new phone, I haven't set it up, I haven't signed in or installed Snapchat or Instagram, so I'm just not going to bother using my phone. I'm just going to enjoy the moment. I'm not going to take any selfies, not going to take any videos, not going to take any photos, just be in the moment. What are the chances of that? Besides Carter Combs, you can also say, what about any other party goers? Did they use their phones to take photos or videos, yes or no? What about Noah Presgrove's phone? Did Noah Presgrove take any photos or videos himself? What I'm getting at is, if there are more than one individual, if there are multiple party goers that may have appeared in shots of a photo or a video and so on, but it was by the hands of somebody else's phone. If these said individuals never used their phones at the party to take a photo or a video, the higher the chances that Carter Combs could have done the same thing. And if she had a brand new phone can explain why data and stuff hasn't been transferred over yet, and phone numbers, but it can also explain as to why simple things like photos and videos and selfies aren't present either, when it can still be used in the moment, because they may have not felt like using it or taking photos and videos, just the same way as other party goers didn't take photos or videos. But that's just a scenario, because I don't actually know myself who didn't use their phones to document the party. I mean, you can live in the moment, you can take it all in without having a phone, but other people like to use a phone to record, take a photo for the fun of it in the moment, and then use it in the future to reflect back on as a happy memory or as a funny time, and so on. Different motives and reasons as to how people use their phones at a gathering, at a party, and it can also reveal how much they may use it at a party as well. Is it for social media? Is it to record and document the party in a positive way? Or is it for deeper reasons? Or did they just have it with them to communicate with people if they needed to be picked up, dropped off, reach out to family if they needed help, contact any friends in between, distant, to say, right, this is what's going on. Do you want to meet up afterwards? Can you pick me up? And all of that. So phones could just be used for communication, calling, arranging plans, meetups, pickups, drop-offs, and all of that. But it can also be used for the social media aspects, as in recording and documenting. And at least from the party footage, what we've seen, although it might be somewhat limited, it is out there, and some never seen before stuff has been revealed ever since from certain people's phones, which were eventually returned back to the rightful owners after the police holding on to them for some time. Any of those phones link back to what Robyn was getting at, as in on Reddit. If there is a rumour of 2 other phones, factory reset or not, maybe the police were holding on to it for a bit longer and then eventually returned it back. What, those same said phones, what we've got the Snapchats from? Well then, is it really factory reset then if the police have got a hold of these photos and videos which were supposedly removed? Well, I guess that's what can go into the next conversation, as in, can police recover stuff which was factory reset, lost or deleted? But if that was the case, and if that did happen, you'd think direct action could have been taken by now, as in crimes clearly committed, that if you have covered up something, you tried removing evidence, there should be some punishment now, unless there's a delay because it's just a part of building the case within the investigation. It might be evident now, it may be evident 1 year ago, as in what Robyn Smith was told by police about kids wiping phones. That could be a criminal charge in some way because it's linking or in parallel to the death of Noah Presgrove. It's not a good look, is it? Some people could have had innocent reasons as to why a phone was factory reset, but on the general surface of things, when there's a death of someone and then there's a phone which might have evidence on it to support as an alibi or to show something, to provide context, and it's for it to be completely wiped, the timing of it isn't exactly ideal. It makes you look suspicious. Even if you're innocent, it just makes you look suspicious. So it's understandable why the general public would question and think, could it mean something? Is there more to it? Just like when Stevie Howard decided to make that comment on Facebook about, well, if we're such bad parents and so on, that if we were responsible, we would have done a better job at disposing of Noah and no one would have found him. Okay, it's giving a scenario, maybe it's sarcastic. It's just not appropriate. It does them no favours. It makes them look suspicious. It makes them look like they may know something, or they're teasing people. They dig themselves into a hole. They may complain afterwards. Oh, why are people harassing? Well, you've fed people food. You've increased people's hunger to be suspicious of yourself, right? It can come in different ways. You need to control yourself and how you react, so then you can reduce the tension and the backlash. I mean, it's just like Caden Pressey. Caden Pressey had the choice to answer simple questions. He chose not to, fair enough, but he gave vague responses. He gave unusual replies. It only fed into the hunger of the sharks that wanted answers in the first place. So it just built tension, it built heat, and it boiled over eventually, right? And that can apply to other people in the case as well. If it's handled correctly in the first place, then it can reduce the tension overall. Anyway, I just gave some little pointers here and there. If I need to elaborate on anything, I will do so later when it comes to the map analysis. But ultimately, it seems to be more than one person. And even if Carter Combs was excused by some chance, put her aside, Robyn said kids, party goers, more than one person. So what are other people's excuses? What are other people's motives behind phones being factory reset and wiped? And now people from certain sides could say, well, do we actually know it's actually happened? Do we actually have evidence to say that it did happen and that people did do that? Well, on the surface level, publicly speaking, no. But the family, the victim's family, may know with evidence by now because of that subpoena. And if not, a year ago, they appeared to not have hard evidence. They were just told it in words by police, who you would expect to have the evidence to support it was factory reset, as with as many people as possible there. I mean, just to reflect back on, I know Justin Roy was really heavy about going on about it over and over again. And even if it's a fact and it's true, when I asked, where did it come from? How did you find out about it? It wasn't made clear. So that's why I've done this video today. I was interpreting it that, well, maybe because of Justin Roy, family nephews down there, they may have seen it with their own eyes, witnessing someone deleting and factory resetting. But I didn't get an answer to it, but here we are. So with that being in mind, let's just head on over to a tiny little Google search to give a bit of context behind factory resets. Here we are at the top. I typed, can police tell if a phone has been factory reset? The reason why I asked this question, because as I said before, for the family to just nod their heads and listen and believe in what the police or investigator has told them, the authority would have to know in the first place whether they've been factory reset or not, as a chain reaction of passing on information down, as it says here. For example, yes, police can often tell if a phone has been factory reset. Whilst a factory reset erases user data, forensic tools can often recover some of that data, especially if it hasn't been overwritten. Additionally, the phone's IMEI, International Mobile Equipment Identity Number, remains linked to the device and can be used to track it even after a reset. Here's more detailed explanation. Data recovery. Factory resets remove user data, but they don't always erase it completely from the storage. Forensic tools can be used to recover deleted files, including messages, photos, and other data, maybe videos, particularly if the space hasn't been overwritten by new data. IMEI tracking. Every phone has a unique number which is not affected by a factory reset. The police can use this number to track the phone, especially if it's reported as lost or stolen. Right. Cloud services. This will be probably a familiar one and come up in conversations as in partygoers. If data is backed up to cloud services like Google Drive, iCloud, police can access it with the appropriate legal permissions regardless of whether the phone has been reset. When a phone is reset, what's on the phone can be lost, but what's been uploaded to the cloud, even social media, will still be there and you can access it. Factory reset protection. Some phones have factory reset protection features like Google's FRP that requires the original account credentials to set up the device after a reset. Evidence of reset. Even if data recovery isn't possible, forensic analysis can sometimes reveal evidence that a factory reset was performed, including timestamps and other system logs. Right, revealing as in a certain timestamp of when this was changed, that was accessed, that button was pressed, permission was given, granted here, a password may have been entered in there to confirm, and then to reset and erase, and then start the phone back up again, then enter the stuff in, sign in and all of that. Along the lines of that, that makes sense. So for police or an investigator to tell Noah's family, partygoers, more than one person, and supposedly Carter Combs' phones were factory reset, that the evidence supports it. Supposedly. And as example, guidelines to follow this and more. That's interesting. So with having an idea that police can tell if a phone has been factory reset or not, is it possible to get a hold of the data? Can you obtain the evidence from a factory reset phone? What's the implications there? Whilst a factory reset makes it significantly harder for law enforcement to recover data, it doesn't guarantee complete deletion. So I guess a bit hit and miss. Police can use advanced forensic tools to potentially recover some data, especially if the device hasn't been overwritten since the reset. Cloud backups and data stored elsewhere may also be accessible with the appropriate legal permissions. And then down here, a breakdown of it. Number 1, factory resets impact. A factory reset deletes most user data, including messages, apps, files stored on the phone's internal storage. That's important to know, and I'll make more sense of that later. It essentially restores the phone to its original factory setting, the same way as if you bought a brand new phone for the very first time. So in some ways, it could be understood how it might be misinterpreted, as in if Carter did get a brand new phone, it could come across as factory reset because it's brand new factory settings, just as an example. However, some data may still be recoverable using specialized tools. Data recovery possibilities. Deleted files. When a file is deleted, the space it occupied is marked as available for reuse. Data recovery tools can sometimes retrieve the content of those deleted files if the space hasn't been overwritten with new data. Thumbnails. Deleted images and videos often leave behind thumbnail versions, which are small representations of the images. These thumbnails may be recoverable. I do understand that to some extent. I think it applies on computer as well, with certain files, which you remove but it leaves behind the name or a visual imprint. Cloud backups, if data is backed up to cloud services and so on, police can access it, possibly, with legal authorization, of course, even if the phone itself has been reset. External storage, if data was stored on an external storage device like a memory card, it may also be recoverable, of course, right? You got a copy of it elsewhere, but do you have the original? You don't, so you might not see the original date as when it was taken, but there might be ways about that, possibly. As for external storage, we've heard the rumours and previous dimensions of a laptop which had it all on, and it was in the hands of Stevie Howard and husband Landon, which was then sold on to some other person, then passed on, then somebody else got of it and then talked about it in the case. Weird, but it just came to my mind as a memory. Police capabilities, forensic tools, law enforcement, specialised software, hardware like MOBILEDIT forensic to extract data from devices, including deleted data. Timeline reconstruction. In some cases, even if the data is fragmented, police can reconstruct a timeline of events based on various data points and activity logs. So, do the LE have activity logs, as in at the party, of when said partygoers decided to factory reset their phones? Did they factory reset their phones before the official calls were made to police or afterwards? That could say something. Competence and resources. The success of data recovery depends on the expertise of the forensic team, the type of phone, and the extent to which the data has been overwritten. In some ways, older devices could be harder to retrieve data from because of, limited capabilities of the phone itself, the storage-wise, whether it's got access to backup, whether it's got access to iCloud and all of that. As technology moves on, there's more features, there's more storage, there's more tracking and tracing and logs. And as technology increases and advances, it's almost like spying on you more in some ways if you've got certain settings turned on as well. Benefits the police then, I guess. And what else? The extent to which the data has been overwritten. Are people going to do a really deep dive clean, or they're just going to do a fast factory reset and hope for the best? You'd think that based on the style of if Noah's body was to be disposed of on the highway and staged as a hit and run, not successful because the police ruled it out pretty quick. So if people are reckless at trying to dispose of a dead body, staging it as something which turned out to be a failure of a plan and it wasn't thought through and it was rushed, the same mentality and attitude could be applied to the phones. Let's just press factory reset because that's going to do a whole world of good. That's going to get rid of everything, isn't it? Well, at least to your knowledge. So you can base activity of recklessness on staging something and foul play, just like with the foul play of removing of evidence and destroying it. Has it been done professionally or recklessly in an amateur fashion? More likely amateur fashion, in my opinion. 4, legal considerations. Warrants. Police need a warrant to seize and search a phone. They need legal authorization to access cloud backups or external storage, likely the case in Presgrove. Section 49. Some jurisdictions, police can issue a notice compelling individuals to provide passwords or access codes for their device. Understandable. Tampering with evidence. Remotely wiping a phone after it has been seized or is subject to a warrant can be considered tampering with evidence and may have legal consequences. And I guess in some way or another, there can still be legal consequences within this case if it is true. And it's in a way stated as a fact that partygoers did wipe their phones. Even if by some chance it was innocent and it wasn't meant in a dark way, because it's involved in an investigation and a case, even if the case hadn't started, the investigation hadn't started at the time of when they factory reset, it could still be looked upon in a suspicious way. You let me know what you think in the comments. What I wanted to add on to, whilst it mentions about the phone and the internal storage, factory reset, you lose what's on your phone. Apps, photos, videos, music, internal storage. Even downloads, as in you went online, you downloaded a video, you downloaded some music and it went into the file of the phone and the internal storage, you lose it. But in a situation like with at the party, if you was to take a photo, record a video, any of that means of recording and documenting as a form of media, which is then saved into your gallery, internal storage, it's all there. If you leave it as it is, and then you factory reset, you lose it all. At least to your own capabilities, you lose it. And supposedly the police can, in some ways, retrieve it, possibly. Not always guaranteed. Beside that, from the looks of it with the partygoers and others, photos, videos can be taken at a party, immediately or a bit later uploaded to Snapchat, or even recorded through some of those said apps, which may or may not be saved and stored on your phone and device. Like with TikTok. On TikTok, you can upload a video, and once it's uploaded onto TikTok, it's there, but there is an option to save it to your device if you did make any changes. And I believe it's the same way as if you loaded up TikTok, you didn't upload a video, but you went through the create button, as in you can record whatever through the TikTok app. And then once you've got your video done, you've constructed it, and then you've uploaded it, you do have the option to turn off save to device, meaning you can record, construct, and make a video through a social media app without ever using the internal storage of your phone to store it. But through social media, a platform, right, an app, whether you've created it through the app or you've uploaded something from your phone, internal storage, onto the app, social media account, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and so on, if you did factory reset your phone, for example, if you already had the videos and photos naturally recorded through your camera, and it was saved into your gallery and default internal storage. Factory resetting, of course, will lose all of that. You'll lose the apps as well, what you had installed on your phone, but you will not lose, nor will your social media accounts be deleted whatsoever. And what's ever associated on those accounts and what's been uploaded isn't going to be lost either, for most part of it. I would know, because when I got a new phone and there was technical issues with it, originally I transferred what was on my old phone onto my new phone, photos and videos and all of that, still backed up on the old phone. Technical issues shortly afterwards. At the time when I was trying to record my videos, screen recorder would not work. 10 days at least of missed opportunities to record videos, if you remember. It was hell. So I had to buy a video screen recorder, which is pathetic. The default one should work, but it didn't. Did Apple compensate me? No. Pathetic. Okay? Pathetic. Beside that, going back and forth, and they were telling me, right, to fix this and that, you got to factory reset your phone. When I factory reset, what happened? I lost everything. But it was already on my old phone, so it's okay. But I lost everything that I just put onto it. Phone numbers, gone. Photos, videos, gone. Apps, gone. But those apps, what I had, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, once I eventually installed those apps back onto the phone, nothing was lost from the accounts within the apps, if that makes sense. So when you look at these party goers at the party, they've got snaps. They might have normal videos and photos which then were uploaded onto Snapchat and so on. But those same set of individuals had factory reset their phones, whilst the original copies, the original pieces are lost to some extent. The copies, the repost are present and are on social media, unless they chose to take them down and have them deleted, but I'm sure you could try and trace and find it through some other means, as in with the police. So if you're just deleting and factory resetting your phone, it's everything on your phone. If you neglect what you've already uploaded onto social media, you think that's going to go as well. It's not. That remains up there. It's like iCloud, right? It's like OneDrive. Now, if you was to go into iCloud, OneDrive, go onto social media and manually delete the post, manually delete the storage, that can work. But are people going to go to that length to do so? Depends how you look at it. But it is second-hand, this, with what Robyn Smith is telling us from what people told her. She heard it directly from the horse's mouth. This video is just giving the origins of hearing it from the horse's mouth, as in public for the first time, supposedly, before the general public started just going on about it over and over again without ever giving a source. You see what I'm saying? And it's happened a lot in this case, and it happens a lot in general. A lot of people can hear something from someone. It could be a fact, said with a level of confidence, people believe in it, captivated by it, okay. Then you relay it, you spread the awareness of it, pass it on to as many people as possible. But if you ever do so, give the source. Don't just say, yeah, it's a fact, this is what happened to Noah, these people are responsible. Phones with factory reset. No, what you should say is, so there's breaking news or there's an update, as in this individual in the case, police or family member has told us as a fact, supposedly, that this is what actually happened. Give the source, it protects yourself. If it turns out wrong or incorrect and you don't give the name where it came from, people can put the blame on you and say that you're to blame and you're responsible. Now, with Justin Roy, maybe that happened to him, in a way, supposedly, but he didn't make it clear at times in the first place. So when receiving information and knowledge and told about things, even if it was bad information, it wasn't made clear at the start. He worded it and stated it as if it was coming from his mouth, or at least you could interpret it that way, because he was vague and didn't always give a source, didn't always tell or give where it came from. And then later, he might have been quicker to say when it backfired. If Justin Roy had said, well, I've heard from some people, and this, and on a consistent level as well, where it came from. If it did backfire, if it turned out to be BS, you're not going to get blamed as much, you're not going to take all the flack. People are going to know, right, you said that, but you weren't to know, you were told by someone else that appeared more confident. Understandable. So, by giving a source, it makes it clear to understand where it originally came from. So then people can gauge and measure whether it's really worth believing in or not. If it originally came from a member of the general public, you could write it off as BS. If it comes from the victim's family, you might have more trust within it. If it comes directly from the police, you might have even more trust from it. That's why it's important. And then the second factor being, if it all else fails and it goes wrong, well, at least the blame will be pointed elsewhere in the right reasons and not towards you. Simple, but not enough people do it. So it leads to confusion and so on. And the people that complain saying, why are people attacking me? I didn't start it. You didn't start it, but you didn't exactly elaborate or make it clear where it came from in the first place. So people just assumed that you started it, right? A few extra words added into your sentences can go a long way. Might be a bit too late for some people now, but changes can still be made if people really want to, right? So, in terms of that, with that being in mind, if everything was wiped, like our Robyn Smith was suggesting from what she was told, if everything was wiped, who exactly? Carter Combs, supposedly? If there's no videos or photos to back up her using it, then maybe it's been wiped to some extent. But let's at least provide the acknowledgement of there is still party footage, right? There is at least some party footage of Noah Presgrove and others. And no, I'm not just talking about Caden Pressey. You know, it seems quite clear and evident that Caden Pressey did nothing to his phone, from the looks of it, and from conversations. So that seems okay. Caden seems innocent in that regard. As for other partygoers, any of them, who would have reset their phones? And why would they reset their phones? Let's just look at some, and it's only an example. There might be others out there, but I'm going to show you some screenshots from videos, and some are just pure screenshots of and from the party. Just to put it into perspective, whilst Robyn Smith may say things were wiped and everything gone, is that really the case? Let's take a look. In no particular order, we've got a photo here specifically, but this will be from Saturday, based on who's present in the background, like Shandon, Noah himself in the beige khaki type shorts and so on. Just take into consideration, we don't know exactly who's behind the camera when taking or recording them, so I might ask a range of questions, as like with Noah Presgrove here, he's got his hand close to his tongue with the V sign, similar to what he did in a different shot, and that it could also, well, it's not really considered the peace sign, that, because it's the other way around. That could be the FU type thing, but the V sign facing that way and the FU and the tongue stuck in between can mean it's time to lick the pussycat. But that's open to interpretation. More importantly, what we noticed here was the condition of Noah's fingers' knuckles compared to other nights at the party. Away from his death, but just interesting when you see some external injuries to Noah at some point. Beside that, this is just giving the perspective, as I said, that there is party footage. Most of the people there are face-to-face communication, maybe with a drink in their hand. They're not glued to the phone like zombies. How many of them are using their phones to actually record and take photos? Who was behind the camera with this photo? Does anyone know? And if anyone has actual answers, leave a comment down below under the video and attach the timestamp of when I ask the question and when you respond with the answer, so that it's easier to track, okay? It'll go a long way, that. So who do you think was behind the camera here when taking a photo of Noah? Because we can see Noah's hands in sight, one near to his mouth giving the V sign, and then the other one he's holding his can, so he can't be holding the phone from the looks of it. Moving on. Speaking of which, Noah Presgrove with the V sign again, more so licking the pussycat because the tongue is in between the two fingers. And you might wonder, what does that even mean? Well, it's an inappropriate reference whether someone is hungry or they want to do something to someone, it can be in a playful, messing about way too, especially if you're drunk, and it could be interpreted as other things as well. But when people tend to do that, especially with the tongue action, when flicking the tongue in between two fingers, it does mean one thing more so than another. And you could interpret it that the shape of the fingers spread V are like the lips of not someone's mouth, but elsewhere, another opening. We don't need to give any demonstrations, as if I could give a demonstration right now. I don't think so. But who's holding the phone here? Who's taking the photo? And whose mobile phone device? Well, Jasmine has her arm out. It appears that she is holding the phone to take a selfie. So it would be understandable to think that this photo taken, a selfie, was done on Jasmine Milan's phone. So could you put the argument across and say, well, because Robyn says everything was wiped, as in a vague mention of party goers, no names included, does that mean Jasmine is off the list? Because if her device and phone shows that there is footage taken, then not everything was wiped, and likely it wasn't wiped in the first place, so Jasmine did not factory reset her phone. Well, you could interpret it that way, but as the counterpoint could say, if police can recover deleted photos and videos which were lost through a factory reset, but they were found through other means, social media, logs, or more so iCloud, then someone like Jasmine, not saying that they did, but if they did try factory resetting their phones, police could have retrieved, for example, this photo through iCloud, social media, and other means. So it's still open to interpretation. But I just want to put it across that even if people have factory reset their phones, there is still an extent of rich material to work with, but it may not show the full story. Then the other footage, the videos, the most important critical times, like the shower one, the rollover, from what Caden witnessed himself, what he was shown, that isn't publicly available at this moment in time. Some other stuff that wasn't publicly available, but ever since has been. So if there's a time frame in which things can be released public, that's good. But in terms of those that were factory reset phones, which may have had videos or photos on you would expect from the party, what did that entail? Did that show a different perspective of the party? Did that give a different atmosphere of what the party was like for Noah? Because all the footage, what we see is positive. The laughing, the joking, the having a good time, which is what you'd hope for at a party. Awkward timing when switching onto that, but we'll give the context there shortly. And this is just being cautious, just in general. People may want you to think of it that way, that the party was good and happy and positive, so they will only show and share and reveal public the photos and videos of Noah, of the victim, of other people having a good time, to make it seem like, well, clearly none of those people could have done anything to Noah because they're all happy, getting on well. But what about the never seen before footage? The stuff that's been deleted? What story does that tell? Does it reveal a more sinister side? Does it show what people really think of Noah? Does it show a moment of darkness where someone snaps and has a go and argues and there's a fight? You've always got to take that into consideration, but that can apply anywhere and in general in life, online, in real life, that a person or people, a group, may want to portray a certain outlook, a certain perspective. They want the general public to think in a positive way, but the reality is pretty dark and negative, but they're not going to show that public. They're going to keep that under wraps. They might try and suppress it. They might delete it. So for the party, most, if not all, of it to appear positive and fun. Is that very possible? It's very possible, yes. But it's kind of convenient how the tense moments, the arguments, the actual arguments that supposedly took place, really none of which were actually documented or taken a photo of, or at least to our knowledge. So when you got Noah Presgrove there, you got Jack Newton in the back, them yelling at one another, pushing and shoving from what Justin said, getting a bit aggressive. Was that recorded? Was a photo taken? From the looks of it, no. Could it have been, though, but then deleted through factory reset? Possibly. But then could it have been retrieved by police? That's also possible too. You see the steps. You can apply it to the bedroom debacle. Bedroom debacle, and Noah calls Avery a fat beeb. Was that recorded or documented? Even before that, earlier, when it came to the tea bagging, if that really happened, is there footage of it? There's claims that there is, but is it really true? Or the verbal fight after Noah, or just when Noah's walking away around 3:30 or just before, Jack and Avery verbally fighting with Noah, as mentioned in the wrongful death lawsuit. Is there evidence to support that for in the wrongful death lawsuit to suggest or state it in some way? They got some inclination that it did happen. I wasn't aware of it myself in terms of who was involved, and that it was a fight verbally, not just a argument, which is interesting. There must be some material to suggest that it did happen for them to come up with it in the wrongful death lawsuit in the first place. Do police have the footage of it, but publicly we've not seen it? But was it obtainable easily, or was it obtained through other means because it was through a factory reset? What I'm getting at is all the moments where it could have been tense, there was arguments, any negativity, it's not documented or uploaded, shown public, at least. Even Mikey fish hooking Noah biting Mikey's finger, was that documented, recorded, photo taken? Maybe, maybe not. Shown public? Absolutely not. Most of the positive moments, or the majority of the moments being positive, are publicly viewable as what we're seeing now. But any negatives, or more so the negatives, aren't really shown public. So is it one side to the story? Are we not getting the full picture? It would be very rich of some people on one side to say to me, well, no, ref, you are correct. You are true in what you say. Because I'll be like, how dare you say that when you have said that? I am supposedly more biased now because I'm covering it from both sides and perspectives. Even I doubted how I worded it there because it sounded so ridiculous based on how people have stated it previous. You can look at it from different sides and perspectives, multiple perspectives. It makes you more balanced. Not biased, but some people just can't think, can they? Let's move on. This one's Saturday as well. I'm assuming that this could have been Saturday, if not Sunday. I've just got it in this order because it is what it is. But this one definitely Saturday. Khaki beige shorts, people writing on the bottom area and so on. A funny moment, a bit of a prank. Yeah, you can say no, Presgrove is, I was going to say the butt end of jokes, but that would be a bit of a pun, that. Yeah. Anyway, was no Presgrove up for this? Well, if he didn't want to, he could have just walked away or pulled his shorts up or just resisted and said, hey, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I think it's pretty harmless, this, right? But it's just documentation that there was someone that was recording it. This is a still screenshot from the video, just so you know. Who was recording this? Does anyone know? Some have suggested that what you see there on the left is Pressy. I can see like a Y, maybe a P. Not too sure for definite. But if Caden Pressy's name was written on Noah's cheek, is there a small chance that the person behind this camera is Caden Pressy himself? If so, fair enough. Was it a snap? Was it just a normal recorded video which was then saved to the default gallery on someone's mobile device? Maybe. Was it then later uploaded as a snap or social media in some way? Who knows? But sometimes you know, because there's a bit of an outline, an overlay of Snapchat, icons, top corner of the screen, a banner going across, an overlay, a timestamp and stuff like that. Not everything is that clear to see them. Some of Caden Pressy's screenshots from his videos show the gallery, default gallery, as in it was recorded from the internal default camera of the phone, which would mean internal storage, which would mean if not Caden, but another person did the same thing, if they factory reset the phone, they will lose that footage and videos. But if they had uploaded it to social media, that will not be lost. So you let me know in the comment section, who do you think was behind the camera of the phone when recording Avery and another girl writing on Noah's bottom area? Was it Caden Pressy? Was it somebody else? Who do you think ultimately? And the same here. Who was recording Shandon slapping Noah Presgrove? At least for the people in sight, Shandon, Noah Presgrove, Jack Newton. Some people in the background can't quite identify. With this being Saturday, yeah, Caden qualifies for being there, but we don't really hear the voice behind the camera, and there's other noise as well, so it's hard to tell who is who and who could be behind it. But once again, it's footage, and maybe this is the exception of where there's a form of physicality, but Noah still took it. From this screenshot, Noah looks like he's actually smiling, well, at least from how it looks visually. Not the first time Noah got slapped, more so Monday, 1:05 in the morning, as recorded by Caden, which we'll get to later. Noah was asking for that and was okay with getting slapped and even smiled. This particular one on Saturday, Noah Presgrove was nonchalant and did not really respond. He just took it, which is interesting. Some on Reddit have suggested, it's a bad thing what Shandon did, the force behind it and the hardness of the slap, it makes him a bad person, and so on and so on. But what we're focusing in here is there is party footage. It shows Noah on the receiving end of physicality, and yet it's shown public and provided by the Daily Mail article as part of a video compilation from what we saw from the very beginning. This being obtained by police or from a certain phone, but was it obtained easily, or was there a deep forensic dive done because it was deleted originally through factory reset? Because there is a very small chance that if it's true that factory resets were taking place, some of the photos or videos what we're looking at today and previous may fall under that, and they were retrieved by police. But would you expect a level of consequence to be initiated by police onto those said ones responsible for a factory reset? Or is it just going to be delayed and built within the case with time as part of building up other stuff, as in responsibilities? Maybe there are delays. Maybe it can't be initiated or the trigger can't be pulled immediately. But I'm just interested to know who was recording Shandon slapping Noah. Then this one too. I think you had Noah Presgrove there, and then behind Jack Newton. Then you had Carter Combs, I believe, running through that cardboard or block. Then you've got, I think that's Pepe Guam in the background and Carlson Myers, but then this would mean that it's Sunday night, I think. Well, no, actually, no. Because if Noah Presgrove, that is Noah, it's hard to tell. With the beige shorts, that would mean Saturday then. I mean, I don't know when Pepe showed up to the party. I just remember seeing the footage of Monday, which was more recent, never seen before. But still, who was behind the phone here? I mean, there is a shadow on the ground, if you can see. Harder when you zoom in, but you can see the arm dropped by the side and the tummy area, torso, bit enlarged, but that will be just because of it, like superimposed shadows, how it casts a bigger shadow than what you really are. It's normal because of lighting. Does it show a male figure or a female figure? Pretty hard to tell. I'd say it may be a male figure. Who would be behind the camera here? Is it Caden Pressey again? Or is it just another person? It's unknown of, but if anyone has answers, context below will go a long way. Because, not guaranteed, but if it was by the same person over and over again, you could say, well, they're more trustworthy and less likely to factory reset their phone. Not guaranteed. You could actually put the spin on it and say the person that's got the most documentation of the party footage is the most likely to possibly factory reset it if they do have any involvement in the case, because they've got too much evidence on them. Yeah, so you can look at it two different ways. As I said, in between, maybe not everybody did use their phones much. Maybe some didn't take any photos or videos because they used their eyes, their ears, their mouths, their nose, their senses as memories to capture it in the moment, to then feel it afterwards, besides looking at a photo or video or listening, right? So if you can do a process of elimination of who took what photo and video, and then who did videos and photos and who didn't, then you could work out who's more or less likely to factory reset their phones, right? Then you got this one, which was supposedly at 10:52. Brooke Bounce Carter was the one that said that, as in the timing, as in Sunday night. So I've got it in the wrong order, unfortunately. But, it is where it is. because before 10:52, 2 minutes earlier, that's when Caden Pressey has sat down and he's pointing the camera towards the kitchen area, dining area, where Georgia is, Breeley is, Presgrove, Jasmine, Carter, Jack, and so on are there, and Caden sat back, panning around. 2 minutes later, Presgrove's in the kitchen area. Who's recording Presgrove now? Not too sure. If it is this one, I just remember in the Daily Mail article, I don't know if it's a part of the same clip or the clip following just after. I'm sure the camera panned around to maybe Jasmine Millan laughing. So it might have been Jasmine Millan that recorded this when panning around showing her face, then back to Noah dancing. Could be wrong, but it's a possibility. Then we've got the one here, Brylan Sweat, which is just to give a bit of context. It's not actually Brylan Sweat, I don't think, it's not Brylan Sweat in the Convo's hair. But the video of Brylan Sweat, I've used this one because it shows an overlay as to how it was recorded, or at least how it was uploaded. So if something like this was to be factory reset, lost from the phone, but remains on social media because it's already been uploaded onto there, unless they went onto social media to delete it. So this is part of the compilation of the party footage, what we've seen. Apologies if I can't show you it clearly because I can't fit it all on screen, but that's Brylan Sweat, where he was panning the camera and he said, one-on-one, Mike Tyson, as in Mikey Lair. Sunday, would it be Sunday? Sunday, Monday, crossover, Sunday, Monday, I'll just put it that way. But that says 1 hour ago at the time of when it was uploaded to Snapchat, I believe. Anyway, it's like done as a story, a thread. What I'm getting at is, because you can see the outline, reply to Brylan Sweat, snap, with the banner up top, you can tell that it's not from the standard gallery of just a default recording. It's actually been uploaded to social media. And when it's uploaded to social media, it has its own digital footprint, as I was saying earlier. So I just wanted to show it from that point of view, because the actual footage of Brylan panning around showing Mikey Lair next to him, it didn't show the overlay, I don't think, or it was cut off in some way. So that's why I just wanted to include that. So we know that that particular piece of footage, likely it came from Brylan because it was uploaded to his social media and he was holding the phone himself, pointing at him. So that kind of ticks that bit off the list. Any reason to factory reset that specifically? No, unless there was other footage. This one, 1:05 in the morning. Take in mind, I'm not going to have every single photo or video because it'll take too long, and you get the picture of what I'm getting at along the way. This was by Caden Pressey because Caden Pressey did say that he recorded it. And there was an outline or an overlay which did give the time as well. We don't have it here because I've got it to the other footage where it's, from either Daily Mail or something. But Caden Pressey's raw footage, or a screenshot from his raw footage, shows that it's from his default gallery. So it was recorded internally on his camera and phone. Caden Pressey specifically, okay? 1:05 in the morning. Originally, Caden got it wrong because he said it was 1:30, but it was 1:05, okay? And that's Monday. So even though we can't see the shadow or the name of the person, it is Caden Pressey for this one. You got Caden Pressey as well, taking the photo of Georgia when she threw up at 12:48, because Caden said that's what he did and said that to Alicia. Caden earlier, Sunday night, also confirmed and said to himself at the footage where he sat down, you can identify it's Caden because of the pink knee brace, the shoes, the Hey Dude ones, panning around, and he did that because he wanted to show that Georgia was at the party safe and okay, and show that to his mom Alicia to say, your niece is okay, no need to worry. Caden admitted to that. So there's transparency there. But then what about this? This was supposedly 1:50 in the morning on Monday, last known documented footage, photo or video-wise, of Noah Presgrove. After this point, we've not really seen any public footage or photos anymore of Noah or Jack. So what happened after that? Bit of a grey patch. Some people could put the argument across and say, well, the reason why 1:50 afterwards went quiet is because that's where the stuff was factory reset and lost and deleted. If that was the case and it couldn't be retrieved, or at least not publicly shown by police, then it would have to be by different sets of partygoers that recorded it on their devices, and it couldn't be a crossover of the footage what we've already seen up to now of the same set of individuals. Because if you factory reset your phone, you don't just lose one thing, you don't just lose selected stuff, you lose it all. Unless you don't factory reset and then you just manually delete certain stuff, but then that's not a factory reset. So you could use that as a process of elimination. But who do you think took the photo of Noah? You've got to be careful, I don't know if I've used the word incorrectly before, but like when it comes to selfies where you're taking a photo yourself on your device most likely, or somebody else's that's beside you when you're taking the selfie. This is not a selfie because they've got their hands above and in sight, and not one of their hands is holding on to the phone, meaning they're not taking the photo. But there is still that small chance that the person taking the photo may be taking it from Noah's phone or Jack's phone. You never know. Kind of like how if you're a tourist and you say to someone, hey, can you take a photo of me stood next to this building? You step back, they take a photo of you. It's not a selfie, but it is a photo of you. Is it taken on your phone? In that circumstance, yes. The person that's taking the photo, is it their phone? No. Take that into consideration. Who do you think was taking the photo of Noah and Jack in the bathroom? Let me know in the comments. And if you do know with an answer, make that clear with a timestamp. This one, 2:32 in the morning. So this may have been uploaded to Snapchat, but this original raw footage is actually from the Apple Gallery default app, the inbuilt app, which you can't get rid of. When you use the camera mode on your phone, your iPhone, or you record a video, once you've saved, taken a photo, stopped your video, it's instantly saved to the gallery. From there on, you can choose to edit, remove, adjust times, and all that if you really wish to. But because this was released a few months ago, and I was the first and only person to share it public, because whilst people like to make false claims like Lisa, or more so Justin, whichever one, bad as each other, about me burning down bridges with people. If I burnt down that many bridges, if not all, then tell me how was I able to obtain this, and I'm the only and first one to provide it public. Exactly. Sit down, know your place and role, cretin. But what I'm getting at is, this was originally in possession of police. This particular phone, I believe, this may well be the same phone which is to do with, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? I think I'm just basing it off the outline of the mobile device. Whether it's in a phone case or not, it might just be a coincidence that they might have the same phone or model as to one another. But if this device specifically has the original raw footage on, which it appears to, it could be the same device which also had the Snapchat of Logan and Carter, and then Logan, Jasmine and Mikey, and as a process of elimination and a form of what's constant, who's within all this footage, or who's behind the camera, whose device is it saved on. If it is the same phone here as it is in the other screenshots later, you could say it is to do with Logan because she appears in one way or another. This particular one does not appear but could be behind the camera because if not, no selfie but recording someone else. No guarantee, as I said. But I'm sure what... Well, I don't know if it was this one or another, but someone down the line was saying how in the background you can hear Presgrove's voice, but I think that might have been the Brylan Sweat clip, the snap. You could hear Noah in the background talking about small wiener or something. Yeah, I don't think it's got anything to do with this particular clip here. But timestamp, you see it there. Supposedly September 4th, 2023, 2:32 a.m. It does say home. Why would it say home? Is that by default? Or is that custom, as in an album which you've created in which it goes to? Who knows? But for it to say home, possibly suggest, not guaranteed, that the individual that recorded this at the time was living at that party house. So the person behind his phone could well be Logan Jernigan, Carter Combs, or Avery Howard. And like I said earlier, process of elimination, I think it could be Logan Jernigan behind the phone when recording this. My opinion only. Pepe Guam present there. But he does appear to be wearing different clothing. That's Monday, wearing a blue shirt, blue jeans, and his baseball cap. What we mentioned earlier on about Pepe, supposedly in the background, if it will let me zoom in, he's wearing a white top here and jeans. This could well be Sunday. But then I did say Saturday because of the khaki shorts that Noah was wearing, if that really is Noah. So Pepe Graham, supposedly there Saturday, but wearing a white shirt. Present on Monday, evident, recorded here, but in a blue shirt. So just a change of clothes. No big deal, but it just shows other people as well. Near to the party house just outside where the traffic barrel is, and as it was described in the audio of the person narrating over this, because this is a still screenshot, but it's actually from a video. Someone using a phone non-related to the party, a non-party phone, used to record a partygoer's phone with the footage playing on screen of it, if that makes sense. I've got a still screenshot here, so then you can actually see it with your own eyes without it constantly playing and with the noise in the background. If you want the original raw footage, or to some extent, you'll find it documented on my channel, all there. But supposedly, Mikey Lair under that barrel. It makes sense to an extent that someone's under it because the barrel is not touching the ground. Is it really Mikey, or could it be someone else? Why would there be a reason to lie whether who's under there or not? There's no point in lying, but I can understand people's suspicion or skepticism. But there's Pepe Guam on the left. 2:32 in the morning. Was this wiped? Factory reset? Some could say no because we've got it here. If it was wiped factory reset, or more so, the timestamp, what you see there, was altered with or adjusted, just like the claims of the other snaps of like Mikey Lair in bed at 5:27 and so on. If any of that was adjusted or altered with, as in at what point, what time, because with the same stuff on the device being in possession of police, they would know whether it's been changed, altered with or not. There'd be no reason to change or edit it whatsoever. Especially, it would seem a silly idea to try and alter it afterwards once the phone's returned back to then post public about it, because police would know originally it was of a different time. And even if it was altered with before the police got hold of it, police would likely be able to tell in some way the original time through the correct resources. And has any consequences action been taken if anything was broken or manipulated since? No, unless they're building a case quietly in the background, but would said individuals be stupid enough to alter it if they know it's going to go into the hands of the police? They might incriminate themselves even further if they had altered it, knowing that the original time was something else. But anyway, it's about also figuring out who's behind the camera, so you can let me know your guesses below. This one by Jasmine Milan. Why? Because she's the only one there. Her hands are out, so she's likely holding the phone, taking a selfie. Using the front-facing camera, likely. Likely a snap. Well, it has been regarded as a Snapchat post. Was the photo taken through the Snapchat app, or was the photo taken through the default camera of the phone, then uploaded through Snapchat and then edited with the overlays? Who knows, whichever way, it was uploaded and documented to some extent. Snap, because it's got the caption going across with the black banner. That makes sense. Can be associated with Snapchat there, with a caption as well, and emojis, and an added overlay time. A true time to when it was taken then. So it is possible that a true time overlay could have been through the inbuilt camera used through the app of Snapchat to do a post and an announcement. I'm no expert because I don't have Snapchat. I've never used it, but it is possible. Now, if you do it directly through the app of Snapchat, it may not save to your internal storage on the phone. Not the end of the world. But yeah, Jasmine Milan behind this. This one, based on the angling, based on the phone, based on the supposed shiny phone case, looks similar to what we see here, the same exact mobile device. Could be wrong, but if it's the same exact mobile device, it implies that whoever was behind this phone when recording Pepe Graham at 2:32 Monday morning would have been one of the two in this particular shot here. Whilst there is a timestamp overlay, you can't quite see who's holding the phone. On the left, you've got Carter Combs. On the right, you've got Logan Jernigan, and you've got a timestamp as well. This is through Snapchat. It's got the overlays and whatnot. September 4th, 2023 at 4:30 a.m. The supposed context is Carter and Logan have just got back or near to that time of when taking this selfie after searching for Noah Presgrove and being unsuccessful. And Carter Combs is holding a non-alcoholic drink because she was considered as the designated driver at the time. So yeah, if you wonder why the faces there's an attempt to blur the faces, because that was just done as a request at the time in order to be able to show this public. But you can quite clearly identify who is who. Carter on the left, Jack's girlfriend, and then Logan Jernigan on the right. And you could say Logan's arm is kind of pointing out off camera back there. So it's probably Logan that took this selfie. And we can do the process of elimination a bit further later. So this was documented in some way, so maybe it wasn't deleted then? I say maybe because if it was deleted, police could still obtain it, but then not really going to know unless the police do say. And then this one. This clearly shows Logan with her hand out holding the phone, taking a selfie with a blue top on as well, in which she's wearing a blue top there on the right with her arm out. And because it was described that this stuff, what you see here, this one, that, and yeah, that as well, were all released over the last few months, but not any earlier. And people asked why. And the response was because the police had this phone, or had the phones, meaning they couldn't, get the phones back until the police gave the thumbs up once they'd been processed. Then they got them back, and then it was okay, thumbs up by police to then release it public. So the thumbs up by police to then say, yeah, you can upload this public, you can do whatever you want with it. Well, then it's been processed and then should be A-okay from there. That the footage, what the police had, they were satisfied enough with it that it's okay to show public. As in this, Pepe Graham at 2:32, as in this at 4:30, and this at 5:27. And if anyone was to say, yeah, but maybe when they got the phone back and the footage, that's when people decide to then alter the time of it, manipulate it, and then show it public to suit a different narrative. But if that was done after the police have processed it, that would be extremely stupid, because the police would know. If the police have already documented the original time, if they then see the edited time, they're going to think, well, why have you tampered with it, and get in trouble. I don't think people are that stupid to do that, personally. Okay? But I said, process of elimination, to zoom in to make it clearer, you got Mikey Lair in the middle. And one thing I didn't pick up on before, but we might as well mention it, like when people like on Parts in True Crime mentioned about the condition of Noah Presgrove's black shorts, how there was a burn hole in the shorts. And people were saying, well, was it from the party? And then the response was, I think from Robyn and Ashley Chadwick was, well, no one really was smoking, those at the party, but they might use vapes. Well, it just so happens that Mikey Lair supposedly actually has a vape in his hand. Could be wrong, but it looks like a vape. Just a little reference point. Mikey has his eyes wide open there. Jasmine Milan on the left as well, smiling, happy, all positive. Logan Jernigan pouting her lips. More importantly, Logan's arm is reaching out, holding onto the phone, meaning likely that the photo, selfie that's been taken, will be on this device, what you see on screen, which that person is holding in their hand. That phone, what you see on screen, is likely Logan's phone. And that as well. And you could say, well, how do we know it's the same exact phone? You could call it a coincidence, maybe. But, Logan's in each shot, isn't she? And holding the phone and the case does look awfully similar to this one too. So you can say that at 2:32 in the morning, it appears that Logan Jernigan was outside of the party house recording Pepe Graham and Mikey Lout under the barrel. That adds a little bit more context there compared to before. That's a positive. This is to do with post-search for now, or at least with those individuals. And then the context of that, 5:27 in the morning, relaxed, happy, laid back, not asleep. Well, at 5:27, from Caden's timeline, was at the highway, post news of Noah's death, and so were the partygoers aware of that too at that time. Yet these people don't seem to be aware of that whatsoever, despite being told. Likely because what Caden says doesn't match up with the snap and the timestamp, meaning one person's right, one person's wrong. Caden says what he says, we hear it in words only, which is hearsay. Even if Caden has his phone data and all that, and he believes it's the truth, fair enough to him. But to the general public, it's hearsay because we're just hearing words, we're seeing words, we're not seeing hard evidence. At least there is an attempt here, as in, we can be told it, that Mikey wasn't at the highway, but Caden got it wrong. We'll prove it. Well, here we are. There is a snap. Mikey's in bed. Doesn't look aware of Noah's death at the time. And at 5:27, Mikey can't be in two places at once. So likely, maybe Caden got it wrong. Not on purpose, but by accident, based on this. And when people say, well, it's been tampered with this, the time's been altered to suit that way to then make Caden look bad. Well, if the police have processed this already, they would likely know the true time. And then for them to give the thumbs up to say, yeah, you can have the phone back, and yeah, you can post it public if you want, I don't think those receiving the phone would be stupid enough to then alter the time because they know the police already have the original timestamp, right? Then this one, a little bit more out there. Caden Pressey, Snapchat. Once again, like with Brian Sweat, you can see the overlay down there, Snap, from the looks of it, where you can add a photo or something, you can send a chat, you can add music. Is it directly from Caden's point of view? I don't think so. It might be from somebody else's point of view that's viewing Caden's story, because it shows the story timeline with the bars going across. And 7 hours ago, at the time of the day of Noah's death, 7 hours ago, Caden Pressey. Well, when I say 7 hours ago at the time of Noah's death, I don't mean 7 hours before Noah's death. Don't get that wrong. I mean, on the day of Noah's death, Monday, you had a post by Caden of the point of view of him outside the patio with Noah Presgrove and Brylan, where Brylan slaps Noah, and Caden's done an overlay saying, too soon, man. And I think that means in memory of Noah, I think, but that said like 11 hours ago. So the time difference of that from 11 hours ago to this 7 hours ago was closer to 11 in the morning of when Caden on the same day, visually from what it looks like here, was going to a lake. Same one to meet with JJ Bumpaz, even though Alicia and Caden had said that, or more so Caden had said, didn't go to the lake on the same day as Noah's death. It was a day later or so. Yet this particular snap implies that Caden was there on the day of Noah's death. Suspicious? No. Getting away from it? Understandable. Meeting up with a friend, a familiar face to blow steam off, express your emotions, let them know how you're feeling and just inform them of what's gone on, and just to, spend some time separate, clear the mind, get away from it all. It's understandable. Everyone reacts differently in tragedies and bad moments. But to lie about it or to not tell the full truth is a bit unusual. Then the whole situation with Alicia and the phone numbers and who she called, that's a problem too. It's all facts, okay, as in what's been documented. Simple as. And the problem is people don't want to see it or admit it because they get on well with these said individuals, or they see those said individuals as nice and kind, so they can't think badly of them, and that means it's biased and there is an emotional connection. But because I'm realistic and because I make these observations, in the eyes of some, it makes me a really bad person and a black sheep, which is very stupid, right? But that's about it there. As said, that's not going to show every bit of party footage, right? And there'll be some other public stuff which may have not been shown, but I just wanted to give it like a bit of a brief showcase to say that when there's claims of everything being completely wiped, is that really true? Depends on the holder of the phone and the device. I mean, any of the people that I've suggested or referred to in that video, for example, or screen recording what I showed you of the photos, any of those said individuals behind the camera responsible for factory resetting their phones? Yes or no? I think I said I was going to do a map analysis, but I don't think I need to, because the photos are better than a map analysis because it's on site, on ground level, what you see visually. But I could do a standalone map analysis to suggest or work out why anyone would think it's a good idea to try and factory reset a phone, and then compare and contrast it to the reckless act of possibly moving a body as well, in hopes of making it appear something else which it's not, but ultimately failing. So the same reckless mentality could have been applied to factory resets in a phone in hopes of getting rid of it, but in actual facts, it's not good enough. Police find it, then it makes you look more guilty and suspicious, whether you're doing it for a certain sinister reason or not. So I think I'm satisfied there with the conclusion about that part. But as for named individuals, not highlighted. But in terms of it being stated as a fact, that's how it comes across. That's how Robyn Smith worded it at the time 1 year ago. Has anything changed in between? Don't know. I personally haven't seen Robyn give an update about it or correct it in any way. You know, like if there was any miscommunication, if what was said back then by police, they didn't have enough information or knowledge in regard to it being factory reset or not. Now, as I said, with Carter Combs on the sideline, if that was ever justified, cleared up, as in it was true that she didn't factory reset, she just got a brand new phone and didn't have time to transfer everything onto it. I get that. The questions of, did she actually record any footage at the party, or did she just not touch her phone at all? That's kind of interesting in a way. I don't know if it applies so much, but when you're the designated driver at the party to get people back and forth from places, surely there needs to be a level of communication as well. You know, distant or close. Communication with the person you're supposed to pick up and drop off. Communication with the person you're dropping off, as in their parents, their family, or whatever. And they just happen to have a brand new phone with no phone numbers on it. How are they going to communicate with people then? Or did they have the phone numbers originally, but then later they didn't? But then that would imply factory reset. But at the end of the day, roughly what we've seen, the police should know whether phones have been factory reset or not. And if they have, still be able to retrieve some data and stuff from it. The question is, out of the footage, what we've seen publicly, was any of that factory resetted? As in, it was obtained by police and it was shown public, but initially it wasn't on the phone because it was deleted by a factory reset. Is that possible? Or is the true factory reset data, photos and videos just haven't been shown public yet, but they're in the hands of the police private? Which way round do you think it is? And who do you think are the said individuals? For it to be mentioned as kids, multiple people, that could imply multiple people involved in Noah's death as well, playing some varying role and part within it, at least from the looks of it. As I said, this isn't coming directly just from a random person online. This is coming from Noah Presgrove's aunt that is saying what the situation is, and then being told from what police have told them about it, as in the word factory reset. I mean, what else can you do about that? If the police have said it, if the victim's family has said it, is it an actual fact? Is it good enough for people to be convinced by it? Or do you need to see the actual hard evidence to say that it has been factory reset, and if possible, that might happen down the line? If, you know, the other way of maybe reinforcing it, if you had to rely on hearsay and hope to believe it's the truth and a fact, if it wasn't enough by the police to convince you that it's a fact, you might have your suspicions, and it's not enough to convince you by Robyn Smith because it's just her words, what she's been told in the words of those that do know. Hearsay on top of hearsay on top of hearsay, the next best thing would be if the subpoena works out The family gets all the investigative material from OHP involving mentions and some form of evidence of factory resets of phones and the said individuals responsible. Then if Robyn Smith did an updated post online and said, yes, from what we were told in the past by OHP or an investigator that phones were wiped and everything was gone, that is true. We can confirm that because with the subpoena going through, with having access now to the material, we can see it with our own eyes now. That's a scenario. If it did happen, it's more believable in listening to that than just listening to a comment 1 year ago of Robyn saying what's happened based on what she's been told. It's second-hand hearsay based on that. Is it good enough for me, though? Based on my patterns with previous cases and listening to the victim's family, I would hope to believe it's good enough. Right? That's quite a defining moment, but I'm very certain that there's going to be a range of whiny people that still can't even appreciate the fact that I've just said that. Right? You know, those that claim that I've gone down the dark route and I'm on the dark side, and yet right now I've said that I'd hope to think that what the family says is the truth. So the family or some of the family mention about said things taking place from what they've been told by police, as in phones being factory reset, that would come across as if that must be true then. Well, based off that, then it doesn't look good, does it? Does it change the whole outlook on an accident? Kind of in some ways, depends what the accident is. Would you need to factory reset your phone if there is photos and videos of you present or recording the moment or moments before Noah's death? Absolutely, it would make sense to do so. It's reckless, but it makes sense. If you're responsible in Noah's death, but you did not use your phone at the time of Noah's death or onwards, why do you need to factory reset your phone? If it wasn't in possession, it wasn't on you and it wasn't used, and there's no tracking and there's no pings linking you to the time of Noah's death, and there's no video footage of recording it either, there's no need to factory reset it. And that can apply to someone that is responsible for Noah's death, but they just didn't have the phone. They wouldn't need to factory reset the phone. They could make it easier for themselves, but they've made it harder then, based on that example at least. Very interesting moment this. And yes, it's old. It's an old post. But you know what is also very old is people over and over again constantly referring to it as a fact without giving the source of where it came from, making it harder for some to think, you know, is it really true? And how would anyone know? I mean, the only other example that I can say on the spot, which no source has been given, despite asking numerous times, is people keep saying about, what is it? Noah Presgrove asking Brylan Sweat, do you have my back at the party? A lot of people say that reference, re-quote it. Who said it in the first place? Oh, Noah did, telling Brylan. Well, Noah's not here to tell the story, is he? So who told the story? Was it Brylan? You'd expect that if he's on the receiving end of that question from Noah. But where is the hard evidence of that convo? Where are the screenshots? Where are the photos? There is one but, and it's a slight problem. With what Robyn Smith had said, from what she was told by police, it should be pretty simple and straightforward to believe in and see as a fact. But I think there were times in the past where some of Noah's family members had stated something and it turned out not exactly true, or it was misunderstood. Can I think of an example on the spot? Well, actually, let me just give an alternative. Not quite truthful or not quite honest. This isn't all in defence of Justin Roy, but it's what supposedly had happened, and Justin Roy had a screenshot of it as proof. That when it came to the investigators, the private investigators, that there was like one or two, Justin Roy saw an original post by some of the Noah Presgrove family members on the Justice page that mentioned about 3 private investigators. Justin Roy did an independent post, I think on the Army page about it, And then Justin was told off by some of Nerd Presgrove family members for spreading false information, misinformation, or something like that. But Justin Roy had screenshots and proof of the family saying the same thing that Justin said when relaying it. So Justin did nothing wrong in that moment. So did Noah's family slip up? Why exactly? If there's any slip-ups along the way, just like with Cade and Prezi, then it might cast doubt upon the next thing that they state, or what they've been told by someone else, through misinterpretation, through Chinese whispers, through saying something but then not meaning it, or meaning it but then not admitting to it later. It adds a bit of uncertainty. There's only one other problem, but I don't know where it came from. Something tells me it came from Noah's family, but I don't want to say that as an actual fact. So for anybody watching right now, when you had that period and phase of people constantly stating the autopsy report said Noah had shredded fingers, the autopsy report never stated anything like that. It was a load of bollocks. But why did people go along with it, and why did people go round and round and saying it? Who was the influence? Who was the horse's mouth? Who was the original person to state that Noah had shredded fingertips? For some reason, it's going in my mind that it might have been Robyn Smith, but I could be wrong. If it was, though, and it's if that's what Robyn may have said, or a family member may have said, you can understand why the general public would be influenced by it, because they would hope to believe in what the victim's family are saying with being in direct contact with police. Well, if that backfires, then you can understand why, when a comment from a year ago where Robyn says, well, police told us this, and that factory phones were factory reset, was that entirely understood correctly as well? It cast a level of doubt based on the conditions being met with what I've suggested. I'm using appropriate language and wording. People can try as hard as possible to try and twist and be very impetuous about it, but I've made it very clear in my language and wording today. You can't be, taking it the wrong way, and if you do, well, that's not my problem. But it's a very interesting time. Old news, but not quite presented as clear as it has been today. And other people have failed to make it clear, so I thought I'd step up and do this. And with the party footage, what we've already seen, it shows that there is a level of documentation, and from certain people's perspectives and phones, like Logan Jernigan's. So does that mean that Logan's off the list, as in who factory resetted their phones? Open to interpretation. You let me know what you think below. If you found the video somewhat interesting, be sure to hit the like button, share the video, and that'd be appreciated. Thanks to those that watched. Take care. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.